Chips enough. Congratulations on the new upcoming solo album, Perfectly Imperfect. Um, this will be your second solo album after the 2015 Strange Time. How do you approach the recording of a solo album compared to doing Enough's Enough's album?
I'm holding an ace and I'm living in cyberspace on my microphone mobile and my English reel-to-reel. It's really simple. I just go in the studio and start recording your ideas immediately. Anytime I wake up in the middle of the night with an idea for a song, I jump right up, I write it down. Try to remember, I'll sing into the telephone. A glass that's got lipstick on it. Maybe it's a joint in the ashtray that's lit. Who knows what it is? There's inspiration everywhere. Just try to find the songs, and I don't pick solo records, okay? It's the label that came to me, Frontiers, and said, hey, we want a solo record out of you. I normally don't do solo records because I feel Enough Snuff is almost like a solo record, even though I got great players on it. Tony Fell, uh, Daniel Benjamin Hill, Torrey Stockreagan. Those guys are all seasoned veterans.
Right.
But the solo record was a necessity. The label wanted it. And I said, okay, I'll put it together. Listen, it's a task at hand trying to come up with these songs chronologically, put them all together and release them with the artwork. And I lose money on every single album. I want you to know that, and the fans too. The old days of when we were making records for Atco Atlantic or for Arista Records when we were signed with Clive Davis, when those big budgets there, those days are over.
Right.
You got to find the ways to do it. The record budgets, we're on a major label, it's great, but it's not profitable unless you go out and tour around the country, which costs money to do that as well. But at least there's a chance for fans to get the records right from the band, and we can navigate these waters that we're in right now, which is the way the music business is until there's legislation that's given out through our government that changes the way music is shared. That's the way we're going to be dealing with things for the next 5-10 years. It's going to be bands playing, putting records out, basically paying for their own because we can't. The budgets don't call for us to go into a big, huge studio and do it like we did in the old days, and then make the records, buy them from the label, and then go out and tour and sell the records every single night. That's the way we do it right now. Newer bands, it's going to be a difficult time for all of them because we're in a time in the music business where there's too much product and just not enough demand.
Definitely, definitely. But it seems like you're always on tour or playing with somebody or out there doing appearances and stuff like that. That got to be grueling.
I got to do that. It's funny you say that because I'm getting ready to fly out next week. We have a couple of shows this week here in Chicago where we're playing at Livewire downtown in Chicago, and then we're going and playing in my hometown here on Blue Island, which I haven't done in 25 years. And then I jump on a plane and I go out with Joe Perry from Aerosmith. He's playing the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. And Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp is basically an organization that puts together all rock musicians from around the country. And then the fans come in there and they actually buy their way into learning how to play the songs and rehearsing with the groups for a couple of days and then get up on stage in front of a live audience and play with their favorite rock star. And Joe Perry is doing it. That's the 10th through the 13th over in Florida. And that's going to be incredible. I love those experiences. Tico Torres is going to be there from the great Bon Jovi, and Vernon Reid from Living Colour, and Tony Franklin from The Firm, and Vinny Appice from Black Sabbath. All these guys, you get a chance to play with these cats for 3-4 days. That's really inspiring. So you don't want to miss those moments, that's for sure. But the next tour for Enuff Snuff is coming up real soon. The Glam Slam Metal Jam Tour, which is Enuff Snuff, Pretty Boy Floyd, and the Midnight Devils, who are on Pavement Records, a punk band from Nebraska. These guys dress up. I really admire their strut. It's a real colorful, flamboyant tour, and that's going to be going all through June and July. So we got some good stuff happening. In the meantime, though, focus my attention on shooting the videos for the solo record and pushing that, and then finishing up the brand new Enuff Snuff album, which will come out, I think, in August or September here in the United States. That's 3 albums in the last 7 months. Wow. That's really challenging right there. I'm not sure I want to do that again because, first of all, the records cost a Brinks truck full to make, and we don't really see the chippy poos on it, but it's nice to get the music out there to the fans and show them that we care still and we have passion, We want to go out there and play songs, and new stuff is always good. You can't go wrong with the new material. We can't live on our laurels. The old hits have put us to where we're at right now, but the new songs are what keeps us propelled and moving forward.
Cool, cool. Do you think you do any live shows for your solo release?
I don't know on this record. We'll see. Only time will tell. If I could get Joel Holstra from Whitesnake Trans-Siberian Orchestra to come down and play, and maybe Dax Nielsen to do some shows, maybe I would do that. But I think for the most part, if you hear those songs, you'll hear them in an Enough's Enough set.
Right. Now, the last couple of Enough's Enough albums have seen, you take over lead vocal spot and stuff like that, and it has been singing lead on Enough's Enough records. How is it tackling like old catalog songs in concert?
It's challenging. Let's face it. The fans have spoken. They love the band. We sound great, and I don't want to sound immodest or sound egotistical, because I'm not that. Grateful that I get a chance to play these songs and do them all the time. When I took on this job, which is I took over, I think 2015 maybe it was, where I started singing all the songs and going out and play shows, which the challenging part was not just singing the songs, remembering all the words.
Right.
But I think I've gotten to a point where I'm pretty comfortable with that right now. I can wear that dress. And I listen to the fans. If it wasn't good and they were scorning it, I'd say, maybe I better take another approach like Styx or Journey or Stone Temple Pilots, where they all went out and got great lead singers to come in and play Foreigner. All those guys are fabulous. But I took the template of Genesis, as I said before. When Peter Gabriel left the band, Phil Collins took over, and that's what I did. Enough's Enough. That was my template. I think the shows have been strong. We've been playing some great shows. We just got off tour. We were at Rock Island Fest with Cheap Trick and Jackal and Dee Snider, Slaughter, Winger, all the great bands from that era. Fans went crazy. They loved it.
Wow.
We show up every single day. We never mail it in. The band is strong beyond belief. We played hundreds of shows under our belt, whether it's going on tour with Ace Frehley or the Live Nation tour 2 years ago with Jack Russell's Great White. We make it happen every single night. The common denominator is, let's just play a great show and do well.
Right. Wow. Now, last year you had a 3-box set, Never Enough, and you seem like you have an endless supply of demo material. Are there others still available?
Yes, there is, but I held on to them it is a challenge right there to put out 4 records.
Yeah.
That's a 4-record box set that Cleopatra put together. And kudos to Cleopatra and Brian Pereira and Ken and the boys over there, who did a fabulous job putting the package together, getting those pictures. That was real important to have all the stuff from the old days. We were able to navigate that with the help of the whole team. And that material, that was stuff I had in the vault for years. I shared it with Donnie. I said, what do you think about putting this record out there? At first, he was very despondent, wasn't interested in putting anything out like that, those songs, because they're demos. We never thought we'd have to share them with the audience. But then upon listening to all the stuff and cleaning up the tracks, because it was all 2-track, there was no overdubs, no fixing anything, just left it alone. He loved the energy of the record, and so did I as well. And more importantly, Cleopatra loved it, and they knew the fans would embrace something like that as well. And we just put the great package together and got great pictures. It had nice liner notes on it. It's a really nice package, and the fans have really embraced that. And I'm happy that I've got a chance to keep moving the Enough's Enough needle forward. However, there's still more material there. Maybe I'll pull more stuff, or maybe from the early days with Alex Kane. Right. From Life, Sex, and Death playing guitar. Maybe some of that stuff we'll see the light of day one day, or some live shows that we've done together that were never released. Cool. Only time will tell. But right now, my focus and task in hand is Enough's Enough and the solo record, Perfectly Imperfect.
Cool. How was the last Monsters of Rock cruise?
About 3,000 people showed up there. Bands were fabulous. We opened for Alice Cooper on 2 of the shows. His band is just absolutely on fire. What an incendiary group. It was funny, at the shows, we were the first band to play the Monster Rock Cruise since this whole shutdown. And they put us on 3:30 in Studio B. Those 1,200 people that showed up there. They absolutely loved the band, bro. And the Beatles songs that we threw in the set from our album, Hard Rock Night. They were blown away. The second show we played, I look on the side of the stage, and there's Ryan Roxy from Alice Cooper's band, and Kiplinger on the side of the stage, and they all come up and play with us. I thought that was great.
Where can
Talk about a celebration of life on that boat, bro. Anytime you can get 3,000 people to hang out with for 5 days straight,
right?
that's what I call a party.
Yeah.
And the boat stops over at Coco Cay, so you get a chance to jump off the boat.
Right.
You can buy some gifts for your families and loved ones. And it was wide open. There was no restrictions, no mandates on that. And then we went over to Mexico the following day and stopped in Cozumel, Mexico, where Alice Cooper got on. He flew in there and got on the boat there to play the shows. And you can go walk right into a store and get anything you want to pick up. At pharmacies, there's no, you don't have to show ID or anything. You pick up whatever you want, medicine-wise. I thought that was interesting. It was like the Wild West there. But more importantly, those Mexican fans, they love hard rock and heavy metal. I got off the boat, and the whole time I was off the boat for 2-3 hours, I was just signing autographs and taking pictures of the fans. It was great.
Right.
And then you get back on the boat, and then I did some ship announcements on there, talked to the fans, went around and announced a few bands that were going on stage. I kept myself quite busy. It wasn't just about playing a few Enough's Enough shows. It was much more than that, and I'm glad that we got a chance to participate in that Monster Rock show. And I hope they do it again. I know they're doing it next year. I hope they call us again.
Cool. After many years of playing with Donnie, being in and out of the band, how's your relationship with him now?
Well, I did a solo. I played on a solo track on his record, which is called Party Time. I did the video too. I went down and shot the video here in Chicago with him. It was great. He looked fantastic. It was wonderful hanging out, all of us, and talking fodder and the old days of what we used to do. And I think he really enjoyed playing with me. Not only playing on the record, but shooting the video as well. It was pretty good. But then after that, I've been staying busy working, and I know he's doing a lot of stuff as well. So I got a message on the machine the other day. He called me and said, "Chips it up!" And that was it. He didn't say anything else. So I'll have to call him back and see how he is. But I know he's in the studio working all the time. He's constantly making music, and I think he's got a couple of solo shows coming up. So I wish him luck on there. I talk about him on my Monster Rock show, which is on the Dash Radio Network. I'm on satellite radio 6 days a week. There's 2 satellite stations, Sirius XM and DashRadio.com. Get them download the app for free. I'm on 6 days a week with some fantastic talent. Carrie Stevens, Harlan, of course, Claudia, and Rudy Sarzo. Cool. MonsterRock.com. And it's I'm on 6 days a week from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. On the weekends, I'm on from noon to 4. And it's 75,000 plus songs I play. Everything from Dirty Honey, Rival Sons, Vintage Trouble, Greta Van Fleet, Queen, Mott the Hoople, Megadeth, Metallica, Cheap Trick. It's a potpourri of great bands. And I think if you like hard rock and heavy metal, check out my station. It's really good.
Cool. So where can people pick up the solo album?
You can pick up the solo album on those landing pages. That's the way it is. It's in all the stores. It'll be in all the record stores coming up. It's released March 18th. It's called Perfectly Imperfect. As I said, Joel Hoekstra from Whitesnake on the record, along with Dax Nielsen from Cheap Trick, and Daniel Benjamin Hill, and Steven Adler on one track. He's on Mott the Hoople's Honolulu Boogie. It's great. The fans get a chance to hear Steven and I again in an old track that we recorded here in Blue Island. You can get it on Deezer, Spotify, iTunes. It's going to be all over the place. Wherever you pick up your music, that's where it'll be, my friend.
Right. Now, do you feel like with Enough's Enough material out there on your new solo album, people can get away from the everyday life of what's going on at this time?
Well, I'd like to. That'd be the accomplishment right there. If people go out and get the music from any band, and they can get away from all the rigmarole of what's happening in the world, I think that's a win-win for everybody. Right. The great thing about social media is, the songs are on there and they're on every single day. So anytime you want to go pick up a record with Enough's Enough or a solo record, or maybe it's something from Ultravox that Tony Fennell did, or perhaps Tori Stockreagan's records with Black Mollies or New Black Seven, that's great. You can navigate those waters very simply. But more importantly, if you really want to love your bands and you want to go support the groups, the most important thing is to go out to see the live shows, and then you can get stuff at their merch booth as well. It's going back to the old days of the 60s. It's like Benjamin Button. The older we get, the younger it gets on how to get your records. Whether it's landing pages, looking at all the stuff that's out there on social media, or just going to the stores, you'll find the records there. But man, nothing more important than if I go see a Kiss show, I can go buy the records right there at the gig.
Right.
And sometimes they're signed by the artist. I think that's pretty special right there. That's where we're at until we have legislation through our government that changes the way we share music.
Right. Do you have any feelings towards the Ukraine or Russia at this time?
I'm for peace and love. That's what I always have been. My father served in the military in the old days. War has never been a good thing. If we can get together and somehow put these countries in a room where they can talk and debate and come up with an idea that's going to be safe for the people, that's what it's all about. Freedom at the end of the day for me. Wash, rinse, repeat. It's peace and love. I want freedom, and I also want law and order. I don't believe in war. We're the peace sign band. It's our logo with the group. And my prayers are out to all those people. I want to see them survive. I don't want to see fighting. And the only way to do that is talking and getting in a room and debating. And, a lot of these countries are real intoxicated with fucking power. I'm not a fan of that, but you don't have to think like I do for me to be a fan or a friend of yours. It's about law and order and respect and peace and love, and that's how I'll answer that question. That's honest, okay? That's transparent.
Right.
I don't need to get into anything else on that. I think that pretty much speaks volumes right there. Peace and love for this country and for this world. Things would be a lot smoother for every single one of us.
Right. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Frontiers.
I signed with them because of a guy named Derek Shulman. Derek was the guy that first discovered Enough Snuff through Doc McGee, our old manager, back in the late 80s, in 1988. He went over to Frontiers, called me on the phone one day, hadn't talked to him for 20 years. It says, "Hey, Chip, it's Derek Shulman." And I remember Derek from the old days of not just when he was the president of Atco Records and he worked at Polygram when he discovered Cinderella and Bon Jovi, but I remember him when he signed Pantera and AC/DC and Bad Company and was nice enough to take a chance on Enough's Enough. So here he is talking to me on the phone, and he says, "I got a label called Frontiers. Can you give me a record?" And I said, "I got some stuff." And he goes, I want something that sounds like the first album." I go, "Well, you're not going to get that because that first album cost, $80,000 to record."
Right.
And we were in a studio with an SSL council and a bunch of great engineers making the records and wonderful equipment. And we were in there at the same time as when Skid Row was doing their solo record, I should say their debut record. And I thought, well, to go back to that day and age right there, it costs us, not in this day and age right now, it costs us $100,000, if not more, to make a record like that.
Wow.
But I got some material. How about I send you a couple of songs and take a listen to them? And I did, and he loved it, and they signed the band. It was a one-album deal, and the record did so well that they came back to us for another record. And I said, "Well, I've been singing in the band. I'm fronting Enough's Enough. You still interested?" They said, "Yeah." I sent 2 songs to them. They loved it. We went on. That record was called Diamond Boy. It was the first album for Enough's Enough to chart 25 years on the Billboard Top 200. It gave us a ton of confidence. We got jumped on the tour with Ace Frehley, did 26 dates with him. Came back, and the record company said, "Record's doing really well. We want the next 3.
Wow.
I couldn't have predicted what they would say. And then, of course, we put out Brainwash Generation. And my staff did really good for us. The solo record, we went on a tour with that. On the Brainwash Generation record, went out with Live Nations, put us out there with Jack Russell's Great White. That was a fabulous tour. Every show was all House of Blues venues, all sold out. And then we came back from that and started recording our newest record, which was Hard Rock Night, which is all the Beatles songs. Got permission from Ringo and of course, Paul McCartney to put that record out. We needed permission to sign off on those songs because they own the publishing. We thought this is great. We got some confidence from our biggest fans in the world, biggest influences in the world with those
Right.
bands. I just love the Beatles beyond belief. Recorded stuff from '67 through '70, old stuff from John Lennon's solo record off Shaved Fish. We did Cold Turkey, did Jet off the McCartney and Wings record, did a bunch of Beatles songs. and that did well enough for us where the label came back and said we want a couple more. So here's a solo record now, which is called Perfectly Imperfect. The new Enough's Enough album will be ready to go. It'll be out probably in September of this year. I'm burnt, between that and producing some of the bands I've been out with. I've been in the studio with Steve Ramone over at Chicago Recording Company. He's got a record coming out on Pavement. The Midnight Devils, they're on Pavement as well. I just did their record, a punk rock band from Nebraska. They've been out on tour with Yngwie Malmsteen. I've really staying busy producing and recording and making songs every single day of my life.
Wow.
And I'm grateful for that. But the only way for us to go out there and really navigate these waters to go out and tour, and that's what I plan on doing in June when we go out on it'll be a massive little run for us. It's only going to be a month long, but it'll be playing 6 days a week. It's called the Glam Slam Metal Jam Tour, and it's us, Pretty Boy Floyd, and the Midnight Devils, and that should be good. Before that, though, I'm going out in May with London Choir Boys. I'll be playing with Steve Ramone Band. That should be a really good one. Steve Ramone's got a new record coming out called Chasing Daylight, and it's a fabulous band. And so I'll probably do that tour in May, and then I'll go out in June with Enough's Enough. And I plan on touring the rest of the year. We'll see what the dates come, what the record company and what our agency, Artists Worldwide, has in store. But it's all about going out there and taking the music to the streets. And I miss the fans, and I know they want to see rock shows. And if you can't afford to go on to see Motley Crue at the stadium tour with Def Leppard and Poison and Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, perhaps you'll have enough chippy poos to go out and see a smaller show in a large club or a small theater with a bunch of glam bands that have toured around the country and had significant success throughout their years.
Cool. Well, Chip, it was great talking to you, and Perfectly Imperfect. Everybody go support that album once it's released. I think that's March 18th, the release date on Frontiers. Congratulations once again, Chip. Would you like to say anything to the fans in conclusion?
Yeah, I can't thank the fans enough for the support. Without them, there's no career for any bands. I love that everybody's going out and seeing all the shows. It just seems, I think Slash is in town tomorrow or tonight here in Chicago. I'm going to go out and see him. Fabulous new record they have out as well. I like to push all the new bands out there. I'm always a big proponent of new music. There's a lot of good ones out there. Get a chance to check out some newer bands like Dirty Honey or Lemon Twigs. Fantastic band. Go check those groups out. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. I want to thank you for letting me talk to you about my music and all the songs that we're putting out there. I really appreciate it. Without cats like you, we would be talking to nobody. So you're very important to all musicians out there. I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to let me riff on what we're doing right now. And hopefully you'll catch us on the summer tour this year. And don't forget, if you want to check out any Enough's Enough dates, enoughsenough.com. You can check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as well, or Chips Enough on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as well. On that note, I wish you and your family well, and all the fans out there. I'll see you this summer on tour.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Chip.
Thank you, brother.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.